Hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? It is Taj, aka Tropic, and we are back with another wonderful Good Bit show. So, those of you that don't know, familiar with what we do here, we highlight all of the positive things that are happening in the world of Bitcoin. Not so much about the charts, the prices, and the despite the red curtains behind me, that has nothing to do with what we talk about. We are talking about the positive side, the good side of Bitcoin, and the opportunities that are here. So, some of the biggest opportunities are here for us as Bitcoiners right before our fingertips. And a lot of great things are going on. We like to cover all of those things on Wolf Bitcoin and talk about all these things. So, those of you that are tuning in for the stream for the very first time, Saturday evening, Saturday afternoons. This is what we love to do. So really appreciate every single person that spends this time with us. And of course, without you, we would just be talking to ourselves about the things that we find interesting. So greatly appreciate it if you share this with a friend, anyone that you know that is interested in Bitcoin. Some of these stories just will not come across your timeline. Some interesting things other than the price. And again, what the main media is covering. These are the type of things that Bitcoiners care about, should hear about, and hopefully this brightens up your timeline a little bit and gives you something positive to share through the weekend as you're touching grass and spending time with family, etc. But let's just dive into the story. Some of the amazing things that are happening in the world of Bitcoin. As you can see here, this is the World Bitcoin page. Some amazing things that are happening there. Before we get to the main story itself, we're going to share, of course, we like to share all the aspects of the circular economies, the education, the feel good stories, the side of Bitcoin. Before we get to the opportunities, all the amazing things, but Trezor Academy or has released a documentary on Africa Bitcoin economy. That's something that we cover a lot of the time, especially when we talk about the circular economies, right? The African continent, all of the countries, nearly 60 countries on the African continent. A lot of times people talk about, oh, Africa, as if Africa is like New York State or something, right? So Africa, massive continent, over a billion people, and just, lots of geographies, lots of jurisdictions, et cetera, cultures, people, problems, terrains, deserts, jungles, mountains. And Bitcoin is connecting them and solving a lot of the problems in ways that we don't necessarily see in Western media. So, Trezor Academy, those of you that don't know, Trezor, the hardware wallet, the OG hardware wallet of Bitcoin of choice. There's lots of options nowadays, but back in the day, Trezor was the name. They have Trezor Academy, which is really good with educating people, boots on the ground, teaching people about Bitcoin, how to use Bitcoin, not just how to make money on chart go up or price go up, but what this actually means for empowering the individual. That's the type of thing that Trezor likes to teach people about, teach them how to get into their communities and spread the word, et cetera, get more people onto Bitcoin. But they're making, or they have made, a documentary. They've put out a lot of great content, but Seeding Bitcoin, which I think is absolutely amazing. Now, I'm not going to play this whole thing for you. You can actually access it, but I feel like the first, well, look where I stopped right there. That's funny timing. The first 4 minutes of this, I really want to highlight. I think it is absolutely worth sharing, and I think it's very valuable and important to actually highlight. So, just going to share this really quick. Hmm. Don't tell me the audio is not coming through. Okay, so what I am going to do is give you some commentary as to what's going on. So it opens up with that opening scene, of course, talking about oh no, little echo, little opening scene speaking about the problems. I guess you would say the generations. African economies are facing, right? So a lot of times we like to speak about store value, price go up, block up your generational wealth, etc. Well, the African continent, and truthfully, out of the, I think it is what, 8 billion people on this planet, only 1 billion people at best, being generous and conservative, have the problem of saving generational wealth. The other 7 billion people are just trying to figure out how to support their families in a way that's not seeing their currency devalued, their hard work that they did this morning. By evening time, it's actually worth less. They can pay for less with their families, for support their families by the end of the workday, right? That is a huge problem around the world that most people that talk about store of value, don't spend your Bitcoin, et cetera, don't necessarily touch. But going into this right here, you can see that's how this opening scene comes up. And then we start to fly over Africa right here. And we're, well, not over Africa, but over a community in Africa. And we're seeing these Bitcoin logos on these various buildings right here, we think of Bitcoin as being some sort of financial institution, some hub where people that are really into tech or really into finance. But these are regular people. Look at this community right here, right? And you can see boots on the ground. These people are being impacted in a positive way by Bitcoin. Touching the issue of having their currency debased. So that's one thing if you're living in the States or somewhere and you're talking about the dollar ain't worth anything anymore, and you're talking about what our grandparents could buy with, a dollar and days of hard work. They have a couple acres and all these crazy things that we like to talk about. Boomers that bought their house for a quarter at a vending machine are now sitting like Scrooge McDuck as the value of everything goes up, or I should say, as the value of the dollar goes down, requiring them to have more dollars to buy that same house that they got for little and nothing. But in Africa and various countries, because what most people miss, like all international trade for the most part, like BRICS is trying to break away and do their own thing. But for the most part, if you live around the world and you're not a part of BRICS or some of these OPEC countries, you are depending on the dollar to do your international trade. So even if you are, let's say, in South America and you're trading with an Asian company, most likely the intermediary, the funds are being transacted and the contracts are being written up in US dollars. So when there is the basement of the US dollar, well, add in the exchange rate to whatever local currency it is. As that local currency, their monetary policies are going absolutely crazy. It's hitting them even harder. So, anyways, the conversation on the African continent, I think, is what they highlight really great here. So he's speaking about the financial services that refugees and orphans don't necessarily have access to. So again, the audio is not coming through, but what I will sum up right there is saying that a lot of the times, again, the conversation that we're having is how we can make money, how we can preserve wealth, trading, et cetera, et cetera. But a refugee going from one part of the continent to another with lots of family issues, you might be an orphan, your parents have died in some sort of civil war, whatever it might be. Well, you have some serious issues. So if you go to a new country, you're trying to settle, establish yourself, maybe you're the older sibling, you have three other siblings to take care of. Both parents did not make it through to the other side. Well, now how do you provide? You can't find a job, you can't open a bank account. It's very difficult. So that's where Bitcoin now kind of opens up the world of financial services to the people that are marginalized and locked out, because they go into this whole thing of how they might not have identification, they might not have various means to open up. They might not even have ID, because especially if you're going border to border in a civil war, you might not have a birth certificate or anything. No one in the new region actually knows you. So some really crazy stuff. So you're completely locked out. So you're trying to make yourself better. Again, the analogy and example that I used, right? The child or the older sibling trying to take care of the younger ones. Well, they're completely locked out of financial services. That makes it even more difficult. So forget the fact that they're in a foreign land. They have mouths to feed. They don't have access to the jobs and the economy, et cetera. They're trying to sell stuff, but they can't open bank accounts to even fund their businesses, et cetera. Huge problem. Bitcoin steps in and solves that right there. But if you go and check out this Trezor Academy, I think it's absolutely amazing what they're doing here. And let me just remove this really quick and try to add this back in and try to get some sound in here. But I think it's absolutely amazing in the sense that, so the Trezor Academy is by far one of the most interesting things, and highlighting this in the form of a documentary I think is great. But let's see if I can hit this again to see if any of the sound will pull through, because it's really the first 3-4 minutes that I want to highlight a few things from. Okay, so again, going into the statistics there, did know better with the audio, so I'll stop taking L's on this stream. But as far as they're saying, the high employment, the The people are just have no access to the greater economy, and it's all because they're locked out of financial services. So we take these things for granted when we have bank accounts, debit cards, we have swipe and pay for tap to pay, and all these different options. So a lot of people are like, well, why would I even use my Bitcoin, Lightning? Like, why do we even care about this as merchants? A fluctuating currency. Why in the world would I, as a business, offer a discount to people using Bitcoin? Well, a completely different world. The other 7 billion people face things like this, not being able to have IDs, not being able to open and fund their businesses, get bank accounts, etc. And it is a complete nightmare once you go into this. So Trezor Academy, go into this great air, I guess you would say, situation right here. But Seeding Bitcoin, if you just check that out, really great documentary, really great information that Trezor puts out. And if you're someone who's interested in doing boots on the ground education, onboarding people onto Bitcoin and all sorts of things, Trezor Academy is a great resource. Connect with them, the team that's over there, the Geyser Fund as well, which is a completely different project. But some great resources are out there. So if you have a problem and you care about various things, well, get connected, go down the in the trenches, if you will, and meet some people that are boots on the ground and helping you to solve those problems. And it's great. And a great place to do that actually is right here on the Wolf Bitcoin page. We have spaces and content going out literally every day. You can find people that are building great things, working with amazing things, whether you're into mining, you're into coding and building out solutions, and just connecting people, onboarding, education, circular economies. Like, we have it all covered here. But going to the main story right here, the greatest opportunity is at our fingertips. So a lot of people think of that when they think of the greatest opportunity is at our fingertips. They think of something like, oh, the price is low now. You'll never see Bitcoin at this price again. Therefore, buy it. Think about what it's like to get in at Manhattan at this price, right? That's usually the greatest fingertip analogy or example that people use when they say it's like, this is the greatest time to be alive right now in Bitcoin. It's because price is going to go up exponentially from this point forward. It's not the route that we're going. So we're going to say that the greatest opportunity being at our fingertips is these little devices right here, our cell phones, right? So Bitcoin is absolutely amazing. You don't necessarily need to be running ASICs mining Bitcoin. You don't need to have a full node operating, which is cool. It's actually very more energy efficient and cheaper than mining, but that's another story for another day. You can get involved in the Bitcoin network in many, many ways. But most importantly, the average person, the simplest way to get involved is to actually use the network. And one of the huge problems around the world, and again, we like to feature all these amazing things like the Trezor Academy story that I was just saying with Africa, but most of the world skipped the desktop revolution and went straight for mobile, right? So here's one of the things with sending mobile. There's two stories that I definitely want to cover before I get to the main one, but I want to share an idea or a concept, which unfortunately, since the sound is not necessarily coming through, you're just going to have to see the thumbnail of a situation right here with WhatsApp basically being the message platform around the world. Most people around the world, they might not have any minutes because you're using prepaid phones where you're adding by the minutes, adding a couple dollars or whatever your local currency is, and so on. A completely foreign concept to someone in the States who is, going month to month with a contract cell phone that they only put down $1 for, and they're paying for that over a 3-year contract, et cetera. Very different world is out there. And most people, what they'll do is like they can't make phone calls because they have no minutes, but they bought a data plan for however long, either it's a day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, 30 days, whatever. And they'll have WhatsApp. So they're using a WhatsApp call now to actually make phone calls, access the internet and everything. So again, skipping the desktop revolution, not having those laptops. A lot of these people don't even own any kind of computers, but they have these phones. And Sati was one of the innovations, which I saw quite a while back because where I live in Jamaica, WhatsApp is king by far. Like, that is the messaging app. And that was one of the ways of sending Bitcoin and connecting with people. But there was a huge problem, right? So I'm going to show you this video, just showing you the user interface. And then I'm going to present the problem. And then, of course, the opportunity of something that Landy shared with me. So really great stuff. Really excited to share that. But check this out right here. So this is Sati. And it's sharing. Oh, no.
And we're going to use from the different options.
Sharing what is going on here.
In this case, I prepared my Wallet of Satoshi account just to test this real time. And we're going to send sats. We're going to send around 1,000 sats.
So he's sending
for this
sats and
test.
he's using this right here, just the
And
interface of
finally, it's
WhatsApp
gonna ask
to then go
for
in
PIN
and
number,
send money.
which
So
is
as you can see, it's a
just to
messaging
verify that
interface.
we're the owner of this
And
account.
that's how a lot of people were
Final step,
using
confirm the transaction.
Bitcoin. They're using Lightning. And as you can see, Wallet of
And
Satoshis,
let's see.
they're confirming. And in this video right here,
Let's go.
boom, it went through. So sending WhatsApp, these little menus, these prompts come up, and that's how people are sending on Bitcoin Lightning. Very interesting. Now, here's the huge problem. So who around the world has 100% faith in social media, whether it is Facebook or any of their related Meta platform products, including WhatsApp, which they own? I don't think anyone in the world would say, yeah, I 100% trust them, but we use them anyways because it's the best that we have, and we just kind of we sacrifice our privacy, our security, if you will, for convenience. As I said, the majority of the world skipped the desktop revolution and went straight to mobile, and they are already using these platforms. Okay, whatever, we don't necessarily like it, but everybody else is on it. It's the easiest way to communicate with grandma, whoever. We can't call internationally, but if we use WhatsApp, we're using the internet. It's free. It doesn't matter where it is in the world. You have that data plan. It's all good. Many of these data plans have free WhatsApp. I don't know how they worked out that contract with the mobile services, but again, another day for another stream. But huge problem with this particular one because privacy is a huge concern. WhatsApp is not encrypted. Now, they have the encryption features, which were recently added because of privacy outcries, but no one really thinks of WhatsApp as being an encrypted messaging service. So it looks great. SATI is cool. However, security concerns, and if you live in a country where WhatsApp is so huge and WhatsApp hacking is a huge thing, like it's a problem. SIM swapping, et cetera, and all of these different things. Not to mention that it's not encrypted. Now, this is the main story right here, the opportunity that are at our fingertips. So Landy shared this out right here, which I think is absolutely really, really cool. I've never heard of it before. And by the way, I am always excited to hear a story from someone that shared with you. Every single stream, I always say, hey, if there's something that you find that you think would be beneficial for this stream, that people would love to hear about, whether it is the technology, whether it is the circular economies, whether it is the, feel good moments of giving away sats to poor orphans in the middle of, I don't know, wherever, right? Fill in the blank. Let us know. Send us a message, whether it is on my personal page, on the Wolf Bitcoin page, or Cade, whoever it may be. Like the Wolf team, we talk every single week, every single day. So we will connect it, send it to the right person. So Landy actually sent this to Cade. Cade sent it to me. And here it is on the stream. So thank you again. But anywho, this particular thing right here, this is a complete game changer. Radar will be onboarding people. Check out Radar Chat. Okay, well, yeah, I did decide to go check it out. I go onto their website, and of course, I want to see the interface. First of all, it is an app. So being the biggest opportunity at our fingertips, right? So there are a lot of problems that people have around the world, and this is a privacy concern issue mixed with a monetary freedom issue. Well, here's a solution combining these two things together. So you might think that, okay, the only opportunity in Bitcoin is to trade, price go up, therefore I get rich. That's not necessarily true. If you see a problem, and again, one of my favorite quotes, I don't know if he coined this or invented this, but Russell Brunson, the founder of ClickFunnels, like a marketing guru, just really cool guy. But anywho, he always says an entrepreneur is someone who takes on someone else's problems as their own, right? So like if you can honestly find and identify a problem that people really have, something they really care about, a serious, legitimate problem, not just building for the sake of building, using tech and encryption and cryptography just because it's the cool buzzword, saying Bitcoin because it's like the quote unquote brand identity of Bitcoin increases the value of whatever you're building. And I've heard all these things all around the world. But no, if you are finding a problem that people seriously have, okay, they're locked out. And I'm gluing all of these stories together into this one story that Landy shared. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I think this is like the ethos, like it embodies the ethos of everything that we love and do here at Bitcoin. And of course, like to highlight on the stream. But you look right here, right? You have a huge problem. All those things that I spoke about in all the previous stories kind of gluing together, and like it just meets at this right here. This idea, this person identifies that what they're doing is a lot of times you're using some sort of Lightning wallet, right? And generating an invoice, a QR code, whatever it might be, the invoice that you normally send for a Lightning wallet. And then you're going to go over to something like Signal or some XChat or some other encrypted form, Proton Mail, whatever it might be. send that link, send that invoice, whatever it might be, through that. And then that person opens that up. Hopefully on their end, it's crypted. And it's not necessarily end-to-end encrypted. A lot of things that are in advertised as being encrypted is not really end-to-end encrypted. It might be encrypted when you're doing it, but if the other person's not using encrypted, it doesn't work. For example, Proton Mail. Proton Mail is an encrypted email service. But if you're sending them that to Gmail or you're sending that to Yahoo or Outlook or Hotmail, whatever it might be, it doesn't necessarily mean that the communication was encrypted. Were they lying and saying this is an encrypted email service? No, they were not. They're 100% telling the truth. But the other party was not using that. Therefore, all the stuff that happens in between, yeah. Well, anywho, this kind of combines those two concerns. And what should we protect more than our messages? Not just like, hey, what's up? This is what I had for breakfast, but our financial data. So the things that we are spending our money on that we actually care about, the things that we might not necessarily want the whole world to know, especially if there's all sorts of things where what you spend your money on gets traced back to you, which of course, Bitcoin is not a privacy chain. Bitcoin is a permissionless, open to everybody with the internet chain. This is the beauty of it. But then also at the same time too, that also leaves such a paper trail. So anyone that ever says that Bitcoin is for criminals, et cetera, has no idea how this technology works. I mean, honestly, if ask any criminal, would they prefer Bitcoin or cash or with anywho, I don't have to go down that rabbit hole. I'm preaching to the choir right here. That's just common sense. It's a silly political story used to get votes or at least strike up emotions in election years, but it is not private. However, the encryption of a signal, right? And the ability to then combine that with lightning payments solve some serious problems for individuals. But now it's not just, hey, cool tech solving problems, but where it gets really interesting is it's in the form of an app. Now, I remember when I first came into this whole space, we're talking about blockchain technology and all this stuff. And we used to always joke and say, like, well, we know when we're going to hit an inflection point, like things are going to tip, and it's going to be the quote unquote mass adoption that we've been waiting for. When people don't necessarily think about the tech, right? So still till this day, people are talking about their recovery phrases, seed phrases, their wallets, their all of these different things, the wallet address, private keys, etc. And it gets very complicated. Oh, am I just on an exchange like a Coinbase or a Kraken or a Binance or whatever? Am I actually not your keys, not your crypto? Am I holding those keys? All those things, it gets very complicated. However, the vast majority of people want an option, like I said, with a WhatsApp, where they're like, yeah, we don't really trust this company, but everybody's on WhatsApp and we'll give up some of our privacy concerns for the convenience of it because they're used to apps. They're used to the experience of using these things. And so something like this, which combines like all these concerns again, because all these stories that I've shared today actually kind of wraps up into this. So whether you're in Africa, you are in a situation where you fled from another country and you're absolutely in a war-torn, impoverished situation, people are tracking you down and you're just trying to feed your 3 siblings and all this stuff. And you're worried about who's trying to follow you from the old country, right, to the new country, figuring out where you are, intercepting this. Or if like some party is trying to then see what you're spending money on so that they can track you down and find you because, you know, your parents are politically important, etc. Well, something like this is very important. Now, it doesn't have to even be as extreme as that. Let's just say somebody watching this stream might have certain tendencies and preferences that they don't necessarily want people to know about, like be all public. Now, we're not talking about like a terrible OnlyFans habit or something of that nature. It could be like, hey, I like to donate to a certain political party, but I'm a reporter that has to be objective, right? So deep down, yeah, I'm a reporter and I'm supposed to be objectively reporting this stuff. But at the same time, too, as a journalist, yes, I have my professional stance, but as an individual, I'm going to do what's best for me. Now, I don't want it ever to leak out that I'm covering these stories and I'm donating to X, right? When I say X, I don't mean this wonderful platform that social media of that we're talking about. No, we're talking about people that are donating to whatever cause, right? And I'm not talking about anything crazy like some rogue organization. I'm just talking about a cause that we want to support, whatever it may be, or for the simple thing that we are in business and we want to transact and don't want our competitors to know. Privacy is a real thing, a real concern, and it's an individual right, right? I don't ever really personally share about my personal life when it comes to like say the arguments that I'm having with a family member or something. That stuff is not around my timeline. I don't put that up on my WhatsApp status. I don't understand when people do it. Why? Because I'm a private person. That's my own business. What happens in my family, my circles, like I don't need that everywhere. So same thing, right? If I give X money to church as opposed to that, or if I give that much money to whatever it might be, I don't need someone getting upset about that. Let's say a family situation, right? Let's say I'm a billionaire and like people are like upset. Like, I can't believe he's donating 90% of his wealth instead of giving it to his children. And the children are up in arms and tracking down to see who got it and all this stuff. It could be private transactions. So I'm going on and on and on with all these different examples. And it's not just like rogue people who are anarchists, want to see the system burn, conspiracy theorists. Like, no, everyone has a right to privacy. So this is like something that's really interesting. So why is this the biggest opportunity at our fingertips? Like, so look at the UI of this. Obviously, very familiar. This is apps, very clear, clean, simple design. I know I'm kind of rambling because like this is something that really excites me, right? Like, just look how beautiful this is. I mean, honestly, like, right? Like, really look at this. So when this post goes out, this is not just a hype post, right? This is not just, oh, this is this game changer. No, like this is legitimately like something that should be, we get excited at. I don't know who Seth is, but good for Seth, man. Yo, Seth is winning. So when it comes to all of this now, like you just look at the user interface, the design of it, how simple it is, just really clean. And going back to the quote of an entrepreneur, someone who takes on somebody else's problem as their own and solves it, whatever it is, I'm butchering it now, but the concept is there, right? So you take this problem, you solve it, you build something for it. With AI and all these tools, it's even easier to build something now. But the beautiful thing of it is they didn't have to build an encrypted message service. They built this on top of Signal. They didn't have to go out and build a monetary network, right? There was Bitcoin. They didn't have to go out and make it fast and cheap. There is Lightning. So using things that are already there and putting it together, like you don't have to reinvent the wheel this day and age. It's 2026, folks. Like we don't have to start from scratch with every idea that we have. Like most likely somebody of these 8 billion people that are on the internet has already built a lot of the parts that we can then put into whatever it is that we're trying to do, all the problems that we're trying to solve, not just for us, but our communities, people around the world. And as we're onboarding people and we're talking about these different things, there's a great opportunity at our fingertips in the form of our cell phones. Billions of people are connected to the internet that never had a computer, right? They will never have a line of, electric. They will never have a telephone or internet cable, DSL or fiber optics, whatever it might be. They might have whatever, doesn't matter. They're having mobile access somehow, right? Even if it's not the best, they have it. And they can use these apps that we are building and offering. And you have a great distribution channel of app stores. You have social media to do all of your free marketing. You have word of mouth. Bitcoiners are the most supportive community. Yes, we bicker. We like to argue about all these different things, but Bitcoiners will go out of their way to support Bitcoiners. Great idea. It gets shared. Why am I talking about this and rambling on and on and on? Because someone shared this with me. He's excited about it. I'm excited about it. And now I'm sharing it with you. Hopefully that you're excited about it. And if you do find any other things that you think each and every one of us should be excited about as Bitcoiners, like, right? There's a lot to be dull about. There's a lot to be upset about. Crazy world we live in. Crazy, crazy, crazy world. Tomorrow is going to be crazier than yesterday. Like, I can guarantee you that. This is the world we live in, right? You have two options. Either let that just ruin your day, or you can focus on the positive side and hang out with us here on the Good Bit Show and what we're doing with Wolf Bitcoin and all this stuff. Like, I mean, there's like, even in the world of Bitcoin, there's two camps. You can go down the doom and gloom and like, oh crap, like what is going on? Like the world's going to end, the money is failing and people are going to starve, all this stuff. You can get pretty depressed. You can go down a spiraling crazy rabbit hole. Take a breath. You can go out, touch some grass, get some fresh air, come back in and come hang out with us on the stream. I'm not going to say don't come back to Bitcoin, don't come back to this, but yeah, definitely gonna say going to go out and reposting this stream, absolutely. And here we go, not touching any of that DP. No, I appreciate that too, and that's the beautiful thing of it. One of the OG Bitcoiners, someone that I know, I like to say probably the first Bitcoin that ever touched Jamaican shores, like it's like a physical thing, went through him. And an OG person, you see, hey, he doesn't want to use any of these types of apps to transact and use Bitcoin. And guess what? That's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin. No one's forcing him to do it, and no one is forcing us to do it. There's options, there's choices, there are different, what's the word? Different strokes for different folks, right? And there's different problems to be solved. And someone who's highly technical as him, he would never need something like this. He was in Bitcoin before most of us even knew what Bitcoin was. But there is that person right now that is sitting on whatever and is trying to figure out, like, hey, how am I going to get like $4 worth of whatever transacted from country A to country B without my censoring government knowing that I am supporting my family while working in another country? Options like this, right? So it's not just about all of the things that we can do. And of course, you know, each and every one of us that is in our circles, these Bitcoin conversations, etc., whether we're talking about price or whatever, like that's the beautiful thing about the Wolf Bitcoin family, the Wolf Pack, if you will, that we come from all sorts of different angles. Like we have traders, we have long-term investors, we have people that will never ever spend their Bitcoin because they're saving there for their kids. You have people that will say, every dollar that you spend in fiat is actually supporting the old system as opposed to exiting and starting shopping and spending in Bitcoin. We've had all these conversations with all these various people, right? Whether it is Herman from Bitcoin and Kasi, with like lots of people, tips. We have so many people that have done onboarding, conferences, you name it. And at the same time, too, boots on the ground people. We have traders, we have everybody in the circle. And guess what? None of them are wrong, except for the people that just don't really come to Wolf Bitcoin conferences or conversations and spaces and what have you. But anywho, now I'm just rambling. Anywho, really appreciate you spending the last 25 minutes, 30 minutes with us on a Saturday evening. You could be doing a million things right now. World Cup games are going on. So what are you doing here? No, I'm just kidding. No, I appreciate you being here. I really, really, really think this is awesome. This opportunity to hang out with you guys. And if you have any great stories, I don't care what it is. I don't care how small your country, your region, your town is. If it is a Bitcoin story, it is positive. It is something I should be highlighting and sharing with the rest of the world and the rest of the community. Send it our way. We'll get it on the show. We'll feature it. We'll even give you credit. So once again, shout out to Landy. Thanks for this one. I didn't know about it. Really cool stuff. And go check out all of these things, whether or not you like it, whether or not you'll use it. It's just cool to know it's out there. See you on the next one. By the way, tomorrow, Cade and the rest of the crew will be having their Sunday space. So we'll see you there.